One could make a good case, I'm sure, that many people assume very vastly they are people who love others. Sometimes a situation will prove that it's not quite the way we think. One example comes to mind of a husband and wife facing some sort of challenge together. And normally they relate to each other very well, but then when something goes awry, someone gets upset and blames the other person, which of course is not love. Probably the greatest description of love, which I would really urge people to look at. Sometimes Catholics are accused of not reading the Bible, but I'm sorry to say that probably is true in many cases. We hear it in Mass and so forth, but it's always good to look at things at home. And 1 Corinthians 13 has reminds me of the most famous passage in all of Christian literature. St. Paul's descriptive definition of love. And the very first aspect of it is that it is patience. Love is patient. Patience comes from the same root word as the word passion, which means suffer in Latin. Patience is what helps us deal with afflictions. It's love manifesting itself in that respect. An impatient person is a person who's lacking love. So we really have to think about this. Another aspect in Paul's beautiful description, which again we should apply to ourselves, it's not simply meant to be a piece of literature, but really a guide for living, is that love is kind. Kindness is a manifestation of one's heart. Love also makes itself manifest in aspects of kindness that include warmth, affection, and reaching out to others. The world, for sure, has been touched by Pope Francis's great kindness. Even kissing people, particularly people who are disabled, brought him. He reaches out to people. He really loves the people. And it manifests a heart full of love. Now, the kindest person who ever lived on the face of this earth, of course, was Jesus himself. To imagine the fully integrated personality that he was. And he is to be the standard for the way we live as his church. It's noteworthy that Jesus said, love one another at the Last Supper, the very first Mass in the history of the world. He was really primarily teaching his church. We are to be the church calls us to be. We have to be people who, first and foremost, incarnate into our lives Jesus' commandment to love. Love can sometimes be tough. We hear the expression tough love. One of the works of mercy is correcting the sinner. Love doesn't mean just being nice. A nice person is really a harmless person, but not necessarily a person who will stand up against evil. Love always goes together with goodness. Goodness is like God. In fact, the word good and the word God are related. God is good. All goodness comes from God because God is love. St. Paul teaches us also in his descriptive definition that love is not inflated, is not self-seeking, it is never rude, and it does not brood over injuries. There are people who make a career out of brooding over their injuries. Sometimes we run into people who have chips on their shoulders, and these are people who have been hurt. And we all get hurt, so don't make light of that. But we have to live in such a way that we transcend these things. We can't go around for the rest of our lives carrying the baggage of all of the hurts that we receive. Again, the answer is love. Love is in our heart. Yes, we experience pain. but it is a pain that turns to compassion for the people who hurt us. And compassion will result in peace of heart. Love is a manifestation of holiness. The greatest lovers in the world were people who were holy, were saints. The first hospital that was set up in Cleveland is called St. Vincent Charity. One time, the hospitals were all Catholic hospitals, mainly, or at least religious hospitals. Many of them were charity hospitals. The hospital was set up by Bishop Rack, who was the first bishop of Cleveland. He was bishop until 1870. Bishop Rack set up the hospital to attend to the needs of returning Civil War veterans. In other words, he extended the services to people in need. This is an aspect of love. Bishop Rack was also known as the father of orphans for the work that he did for children who had no families. The church has seen many surprising conversions over the past 2,000 years. Thinking of Nathaniel Hawthorne, the great American writer who wrote the Scarlet Letter, The House of Seven Gables. I'm not saying that he himself was a convert, but he had a daughter named Rose who became a Catholic. And then she became a nun, which was even more amazing, given the fact that she was not really raised in that culture. But she started with a group of like-minded women, tending to the needs of people with incurable cancer. Of course, in those days, there was no treatment for cancer whatsoever. Rose and the like-minded women took vows, religious vows. They became what is known today as the Hawthorne Dominicans. And up until very recently, there was one of their facilities in the Cleveland area called Holy Family Cancer Home. There are other ones in other parts of the country still run by the sisters. Sisters they charge no money for their care of people with incurable cancer, but they exist only on donations. Again, love does not seek itself, and love reaches out to those in need. In 1962, a woman died giving birth to a child. The woman was told by the doctors the child would have to die in order that she would live. Jana Mola was the name of the woman who said, "By no means, my child must not be put to death." And so she gave birth to a little girl. Jana Mola died shortly thereafter, just as the doctors thought would happen. Jana Mola was canonized about the year 2000 or so. She called to mind Jesus' statement that greater love than this no one had to lay down his life for his friends. She did precisely that. Love gives life to other people. Do we need love today in our society? My dear friends, the answer is rather self-evident. We live in a society in which, as Mother Teresa described it, the greatest poverty is loneliness. There are so many people who have no friends. They really don't have anyone who's close to them. One of the greatest lacks that people have in our society is the lack of intimacy. And unfortunately, it even afflicts some people who are married. Really don't have any sort of intimacy with their spouse, which is very sad. This is really a societal crisis. The answer, of course, is love, which means someone comes across our path and needs a friend. We should make ourselves available to at least reach out to the person, be friendly to them. We can't be friends with everyone, that's true. But we should never have a person whom we ignore. I don't talk to so-and-so. I have nothing to do with so-and-so. Oh, no, I don't have anything to do with so-and-so. I am cold towards so-and-so. should never be like that. That's not the least bit Christian. The thing is, unless the person is in endangerment to life or to limb or something, we should not be cut off from the person. We should be open to people. At least be friendly with people. And to be communicative. Communicating is love, and love is communicating. In no other case, and unfortunately, it's in my situation, the man is not the least bit affectionate to his wife. He doesn't talk to her. Now, they don't fight, but there's nothing there. What they need is a good dose of love. Something to think about. We live in a society in which there are many hard-hearted people, and it can affect anyone. We have to be very careful ourselves because we can slip into this. This is why we really need to embrace our faith as Catholic people. We need to use the sacrament of reconciliation. We should always use love as the standard, not using lower standards. Pope Benedict used to say or said at one time that too many people think that all they have to do is act like the majority of the rest of the people and everything will be all right. Well, the majority of people in our society do not embrace the gospel of Christ. They just don't. We must. Our culture is also coarsening and growing heartless in many ways. There is a professor at Princeton University who teaches that certain categories of people really can and should be exterminated, handicapped children and so forth. I mean, this is a terrible thing. But one of the things he can't deal with is when somebody suggests that his position is heartless. Can't deal with it. It is heartless. What we need is love. And love is not blind. Some people say that. Love actually opens people's eyes to the truth. If we run into someone who's not living up to what he should be living up to, we can still love the person. But love teaches us to regard the person as simply someone who is not responding to his calling. And we have a certain compassion for the person who try to help him. Love is really the greatest thing. I mean, St. Paul said even faith and hope will at one point no longer be required because these things are fulfilled after death. We are living with God for eternity, but it is love that endures. So we could say that if we want heaven to be brought to earth, it all starts with love.